and gentlemen, my name is Miss Anime, and this is my top 10 worst shows of 2021. I'm gonna go from worst to best because I want to end the year on a positive note. After that, I am taking a break for a week or two. I'm not posting anything until the new season comes out. But other than that, let's get started. There is a huge difference between a show genre shift and a show that plot twists and a show that buries its plot inside a whole show. Like, and that the show needed to develop its characters, but the whole reason I went to watch this show is because it was advertised a show about, the tagline is that it culminates in and it do that. And 90% of the show had nothing missing idol. I don't know her name. I don't know her name. I don't know if we saw her, any footage of her at all. The murderer, the person who committed it, I don't know her name. She just, she shows up in like the last, we don't know where she comes. She's a lot of murder mysteries nowadays, which they try and spend much time on, character development and who slept with who and who went to this school and what did this person likes this person, that it just completely buries the action list. The concept dropped the whole missing idol angle. And the concept advertised it as a mystery, and it barely was a mystery, which is why it's number 10 on this list. It sucks out the person, all the energy, and it was fun for a few episodes, but the big problem is when they introduced the concept of the villain. I forget who it was, the noisemaker, or pin, whatever it was. I immediately knew who it was. It was that obvious. And then they spent like 6 episodes dragging it out. They spent 7 episodes when I'm like, I know I know it's Joshua. We all know it is. It's blatantly obvious, not just because I spoiled myself on the wiki, but because it is blatantly obvious and you're just padding out the show. Maybe that's an indictment of the game. Maybe that's a problem in the game where, Joshua's the villain and it just takes fucking forever to get there. But then after that, he reveals himself, and then he just lets him go. He lets Neku go, and then and then I forget, the one character is like, why'd you let him know? And Joshua was like, oh, 'cause I changed my mind and I want to fix this. Why introduce a villain and then just be like, oh, never mind, I'm not evil anymore? Why would you do that? It pads the show. It wastes their time. Admittedly, the art looks pretty neat, but it wastes their time. The only thing I liked about the show is Neku's relationship with, I think it was Shiki. Anne's the actress. Shiki, his relationship with Shiki was really nice because, it was nice to see him come out of his shell and make a friend, and he genuinely seemed to feel heartbroken when she died, and that was actually kind of nice. I wish the show had solely focused on that. Other than that, the villain is the big problem of this show, because it baffles me that a show would go to this much trouble to have a villain and then have the villain go, nope, fuck it, never mind. And that is why this show is number 9 on the list. So a lot of you are probably wondering why Scarlet Nexus is not on this list. And I will admit that Scarlet Nexus sucked. It was not good. However, I was interested in the show, and to an extent, it made some sense. Like, I will admit that the show, it was rushed, it revealed things too early. However, most of it was straightforward. This show, I have absolutely no idea what the hell was going on. Apparently, they're brothers, and then 2 other people, and then there's another team, and then the other team is psychic, and then somebody wants to do something with psychic power, and then this lady shows up at the end in a hat, and I guess she's the mom of the 2 brothers, the one in the pink, and then, like, they show up in the... I genuinely did not understand what the fuck was going on in this show. The art was ugly. The only thing I remember in this show is one of them was voiced by Ken Showano. That is the only thing I remember about it. It looked awful. It sounded awful. The effects were bad and the effects just looked really, really... It looked like really bad PS2 cutscenes, basically. I was originally going to put this a lot higher on the list, but I could not bring myself to put Higurashi any higher than the middle. I hate this show. I hate Sotsu. But Higurashi, up until this point, I love it. I've never seen Ray, so I don't know if Ray's any good, but and as much as I don't like it, Kira is kind of essential to watch, so I can't fault that show. This show, however, it is just atrocious. The first half was pretty good, and then at some point they just decided to go into the whole, making Sadako the villain. I actually think worked, because being Rika's best friend, it played very well. It was a foil. The problem is her motivation was just so self-centered and so bratty that it broke the show for me. And I know part of it is Yua. I don't know who Yua is, but I think she's part of the Umineko universe. But I know she was manipulating her. But honestly, I couldn't stand it. Oh, my friend is doing better than me in high school. That's not what Higurashi is. Higurashi is not this kind of, melodramatic bullshit. It is a show about people being killed, people getting possessed and going crazy because of a god. Or a curse, basically. And I don't mind finding out the curse isn't real. That's not the problem. The problem is it's just... It makes it slightly less palatable. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, okay, this is stupid, but at least, we have some... At least, it's gonna end with one of them killing each other. No, it is the last 6 episodes are literally nothing but Sadako killing Rika over and over, and it gets so boring. It gets boring, and that's what I hate about this. Higurashi is not supposed to be boring. And then to make it worse, at the end, they're just like, oh, okay, let's not talk to each other anymore. Like, no, dude, she tried to kill you multiple times, and you're just gonna let her go? I don't understand this. I don't. It's sad because I really wanted to like this show, and I really wanted to give it a chance to be good, but obviously I'm pretty sure this has killed any chance we get of having another Higurashi series. And I want another Higurashi series because I want whoever made this to be fired and somebody to take another shot at it. So I put this above Higurashi because while Higurashi was terrible, Higurashi was only terrible in the second half. And at least it had some potential to be good. 2 episodes into this show, I knew it was going to suck. Characters just show up, and then they disappear. We get introduced to plot points 1 episode, and then those plot points aren't a thing anymore. She has a brother other in 1 episode, and then he just dies. And then, she has blood demon. He's a blood demon, but then, one of the blonde lady gets pregnant, and then, a character shows up. Then it absolutely is a jumbled mess. And it looks beautiful. I will admit that. I ended up really not caring. The only thing I cared about is the opening. The opening is absolutely fantastic, and that is the only reason this show is not higher on the list, because the opening honestly gave me Ellie Project vibes. I would not be surprised if they released a version of that song, because that song was awesome. So, the shows above this, or I should say, that came before this, at least move forward. At least they had a plot. Yeah, Higurashi, the last 6 episodes were the same thing over and over. Try having the entire series be the same thing over and over. Literally, half of the episodes in this show are nothing but the main character eating shit. And it gets very boring very quickly, because the human characters aren't interesting. I will admit that. They are really, really bland. I don't care about them, but at least they're characters. You cut back and forth between these human characters and this spider doing nothing but eating stuff, and you start to get the sense that maybe these were 2 separate shows, because they feel stacked on top of each other. They feel like they don't connect, they don't intersect, and I think they do at some point, because at some point it says that, the spider becomes a human goddess, but at this point, I don't care. I'm so bored with it that, I couldn't even get through this show. At least, I tried to get at least halfway through the shows that I watch, but I couldn't get through this show. So imagine taking a concept like John Wick, except instead of using real guns, they all use Nerf guns, and they're all competing to be Nerf champion. That is basically what this show is. This show took an incredible concept and just boiled it down to basic, generic, I want to be the best battles. And I inherently wouldn't have a problem with this, except it's not what this show is. I get not wanting to be as dark, but this show is fucking boring. I genuinely liked Lost Ridge. I liked that season. I liked its villain. I thought it was a neat concept. But if this show had been better, if the show had actually done something, like, let's say it had, offered them $1 million, or it had said, we'll I kept waiting for the twist, to be honest. That's the problem with the show. I kept waiting for, even if it wasn't a dark twist, even if it was a humorous twist, like, if you lose, you get turned into a boy or something. I kept waiting for that, and I realized that this show is just yet another generic template battle series, and I just noped out, because it's not interesting. The art isn't that good. I can't remember anything about this show, and it's just boring. So, I had to cut a lot of shit. I had to cut a lot of shows from this list that I didn't finish, but most shows I at least tried to give 3 episodes to. There are only 2 shows, well, actually 3, but there are two main shows that I did not get more than 10 minutes into. The Night Beyond the Tri-Cornered Window and this show. I thoroughly debated giving this a tie because both of these shows are horrible. But at the very least, with The Night Beyond the Tri-Cornered Window, it was bad, but at least the main characters were the same age. And apparently the manga is much better. This show is disgusting. And I am not normally a person who is inherently bothered by age gap relationships, but the main character, and I'm having a hard time getting it up because it's so just vile, is 27, and he offers himself to a 17-year-old who saves his life. Now, I could go into a lot of detail about why this is just disgusting, or the fact that, he sends her roses every single day. He stalks her, he harasses her friend, but I just had to stop right there, right at the beginning, just because, like I said, he offers himself to her in response. And I was like, nope, absolutely not. I will not watch a show where the main character is an active pedophile. Absolutely never in a million years. I don't even watch Lolicon because I don't like it. I think it's creepy. I think it's gross. And it makes me sick to even continue talking about this because it's so nasty and so just... And it tells you a lot about the author who thinks this is acceptable. I know a lot of people are going to come at me like, but you ship Amito. Well, the difference is that they were both underage, and I don't like it when shows don't advertise the age of the characters, but at the very least you can tell that, they weren't that far apart. It was gross, and plus, the anime, I'm trying to get words out. It's so vile. Just, the anime presented their relationship as more platonic, and the only thing that happened is that they kissed. So I can let that go because I cannot let this go. This is vile, and I know I've never read it, but I know because this is a rom-com that at some point she's gonna reciprocate his feelings. So basically, this is a show about someone who grooms a 17-year-old into having a relationship with him. And I will never, ever be okay with that. So you might be wondering why this show is above a show about a child predator. And I was seriously debating what order to put these shows in, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that this show is worse. Because this show, it started off fine. First 6 episodes, I actually thought they were doing a good job with their concept, It's very hard to balance a show about, cohabitating with an underage girl, and it's very easy to fall into the, oh, I love you, let's sleep together. That would have been very easy for them to do. And then in episode 7, she goes up to a roof to contemplate her friend's suicide, and then she just leaves. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, wait, you're not going to do anything with this? Like, you're not going to have her say anything? She just goes up there, she stands there for a minute, and then she leaves. And I'm like, okay, that's a red flag, that's not good. And then the episode comes where Saya decides to go back and confront her mother. And the first thing that her mother does when she walks through the door is smack her across the face. Now, I would have told her, fuck you, and turned around and walked back out. But I understand that kids, sometimes teenagers, it's not that easy for them. And they're sitting there, and the main character starts lecturing this woman about, don't you have responsibility for your child, and you only get at one mother. And I just paused the video, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. A lot of you don't know this about me, but I have been verbally and emotionally abused by family. I've been told to go to hell. I've been told called a bitch. I have been told that I make it hard to spend time with. I have been told that I make it hard to do things for. And those are the civil stuff that has been said to me. I've been told that, well, actually, I'm not going to repeat that one because that one is personal and I don't want to give away who the person is. But suffice it to say, this show pisses me off. Especially since at the end of the show, the main Saya decides to go back. And she left. She willingly left. And then the author just takes the cop-out plea and is like, oh, well, she's decided to go back. It would have been such an easy solution if the author had decided to put her with her brother, or, tell her. It's ridiculous. Because the author is taking the easy way out, and the author is basically saying, you should forgive the people who abuse you. And to fuck you. You should never, ever. I've been told things that I will never forgive. Ever forgive. I've been told some very vile things, and I will never forgive the people who said them. And if somebody were to walk up to me and tell me, oh, but this person means well, or their family, I would flip that person off and tell them, fuck you. Because that's not how family works. You don't have to forgive the people who take advantage of or abuse you. And it honestly appalls me that this show thinks that's acceptable. The only reason there's one above it is because there's a show I just hate more than this one. Yeah. So, I can deal with bad shows that teach bad morals. I can deal with shows that have shitty protagonists or bad writing or bad dialogue. But what puts this show at number one is the principle and the thought that it completely killed. Not only did it completely kill any chance of having another season of the show, because so did Higurashi Sotsu. It can't have another season. Because I'm not a manga reader, right? I'm an anime watcher. So when I tell you I knew going into the show that it completely butchered its source material, that should tell you something. I've never read one, or at least I have to say, I've never read past the first chapter because I found out it was getting an anime and I'm like, whoa, I don't need to read it anymore. So, I haven't read past chapter 1 of the manga, and even I knew that this show was rushed, it was sloppy, it cut things out, it jumbled things around. Norman's return left nothing because he'd only left him like 3 months before, and I'm sitting there thinking, this feels like it's missing shit. This feels like it's missing a lot. And lo and behold, they skipped over half the arcs in the series. I don't know why. I literally don't know why they did that. But it just, it pains me. Because I loved the first season so much. And that's why it's number one on this list. Not because it's badly written. It's not. But because it completely... They took a great series and completely ripped it to ribbons. And that, to me, is absolutely unforgivable. There is no way, even if they made another season, I would not watch it. I would not even touch it. Because I know that it's not going to make any sense. And it's going to be out of... It's gonna be unwatchable garbage, because you can't just retroactively go back and recut plots that you've already skipped over. You can't do that, because people are gonna be fucking confused, and people are going to be like, well, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Also, for some reason, even for me, the art just feels like a step down. I don't know why. I just feel like the art wasn't as good as it was last season. Other than that, that is the worst list for 2021, and the best list should be coming soon, and then we start on 2022.